Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Dylan, and I'm back again with another comic book review. And today, I want to do a little something different and review the Hill House Comics Sampler. Now, if you've been into your local comic shop the last week or two, you would have seen that they have these Hill House Comics previews for free. No charge. You can grab these. And guys, make sure to check down below because I'll have the link for this DC Hill House sampler if you weren't able to snag it up in your comic book shop. Basically, it's giving you a little taste of what's to come on the Hill House labels. And the first book that we got coming on actually October 30th, because that should be comic book day, not 31st. The day before Halloween, the first book we will be getting on the Hill House lines will be Basket Full of Heads, and I am very excited. I was super excited before this sampler came out, but after the sampler, I'm not only excited for Basket Full of Heads, I'm excited for every single title that is coming out. I was buying every single title that he was putting out for this period, but I didn't know how far I would get, like if I was going to go past issue 1 with some of them. But it looks like I'll be reading the whole series on every single one of them. Unless one of them is just absolutely horrible, I am digging all of these. Lolo Woods was okay, but the previews was a little bit smaller, but the concept for that story is fantastic, so I am totally in for that one no matter what. And if I wasn't in for every title, I sure as hell am now when you see in the back that Joe Hill is writing a Sea Dog. It's called Plus Sea Dogs. Each issue is gonna have like a couple pages story, like couple pages of this, and it's basically a start around here. Every issue of Hill House Comics will feature an old school serialized pulp strip set on the high seas during the Revolutionary War. Written by Joe Hill, art by Dan McDade. So basically, there's gonna be, little couple page. I don't know what them, the serialized pulp strip set. I'm not sure what that means. If that's like old school comic strip. But the checklist is Basket Full of Heads, the Dollhouse Family, the Lolo Woods, Daffy Burn, and Plunge. And Basket Full of Heads, like I said, comes out 10:30 on October 30th. The Dollhouse Family comes out 11/13, so the month after. The Lolo Woods comes out December 18th. And Daffy Burn comes out January 1st, and Plunge comes out the month after. So that's 5 titles. Just there, 6 if you include Sea Dogs, which will be, a little bit of the stories will be in each one. I gotta say, the Sea Dogs is probably, here, Basket Full of Heads, the Dollhouse, and the Dollhouse Family and Sea Dogs are probably my top 3 most anticipated out of the Black Label Joe Hill House Comics. I don't know if any of you guys that are watching this have seen the new Creep Show series, on Shudder, but the first episode, there was an episode called The House of the Head, and it was basically, it had the little girl who plays Judith Grimes on The Walking Dead. She was in it, and it's basically, she has this really amazing looking dollhouse that looks like a real house, but this like creepy head appears out of nowhere, and there's this whole idea of her like dollhouse being kind of like haunted. I didn't like this Dollhouse Family gives me vibes of that Creep Show episode, like where this girl is able to kind of like the dolls in her dollhouse are real, and they're actually able to transport her into the house, and like they're actually able to shrink her down. But I think I I read this a couple days ago, but I believe they did like it was like a magic spell or something. She had to like say, you just say the magic words. Yep. And then she shrinks down. But the Basket Full of Heads, that one's written by Joe Hill, so I am super excited for that because I am the biggest Stephen King fan. I love all of his adaptations. I love all his books. He can do no wrong in my world. So his son is right up there with it. I gotta read Lock and Key. I hear nothing but good things, but I cannot wait. Basket Full of Heads, basically this girl has this like tomahawk. It's like an ancient Viking axe, and if you can decapitate a man or a woman in a single swipe, but that man will still, their head will be able to talk to you. The head lives, and still it keeps talking. But it's a crazy idea. I wasn't sure, like Basket Full of Heads. That's just so weird, the name. And once I started hearing about it, I was like, oh, I don't know. But then once this sampler came, I was like, I'm totally in. Like, man, they just, Joe Hill comes up with these ideas, and they're fantastic. Some of them, like, on paper, they sound a little weird. But once you, like, once you really think about it, you're like, man, that is a great idea. And I just really think what Joe Hill is doing with this Hill House Comics, I think that this is some groundbreaking stuff. We're in an era right now where the horror genre is really, it has a steady income, and there's a lot of money to be made with horror, like horror stuff. So to be doing a whole series of like horror books, horror titles, on like a horror label, like a Hill House label, is, I'm guessing, gonna be like a horror books label. From every book I've seen so far, it's some type of like supernatural horror story, But I'm just so excited. The Lolo Woods is basically like these two girls wake up in a movie theater, and they don't know what has happened or how they got there, how they got there, and the town is just really eerie. And that one has a really, I think that one has a lot of potential to be really cool. And the one that they didn't, they obviously no Sea Dogs, sampler, but Daffy Burn, I was a little disappointed. I would have liked to seen previews to see a little bit more Daffy Burn, at least like a page. I guess, they technically give you this art page maybe. But I would have liked to seen maybe like a whole page of some actual artwork or something. But that one's taking place in the 1890s in New York. A young woman whose mother has fallen into a spiritualistic cult discovers a terrifying spirit living inside her body and begins to understand how she can put its power to use. That one, I thought that was going to be more of a vampire type story because it looked almost like Nosferatu or something like in the background when I was looking at that story. Like if you look up the cover for Daffy and Burn, it's like her face is being grabbed and like the eyes in the background. It almost looked like a vampire to me, but I'm guessing it's some type of ghost or whatever. Like they're saying it's some, I don't know, that one, it's a demon, I'm guessing, but that one is the one that I'm least excited for, honestly. And in my opinion, I would have been least excited for the Lolo Woods. But yeah, Daffy and Burn was the one I'm like a little bit like, but that's the one that didn't get a sampler. So once I see a sampler, it might, boost my spirits on it. But no matter what, I'm picking it up, so it doesn't really matter because I'm gonna give it a read. And the last one is that Plunge, which all of these are actually, Plunge is a 6-issue, Daffy and Burn is 6 issues, I think Basket Full of Heads is a 7-issue, the Dollhouse is 6 issues, and the Lolo Woods is 6 issues. So they're all 6-issue like series except for the Basket Full of Heads. But yeah. That one, the Plunge, that one looks, it's like about a disappeared ship that just appears 40 years later, and like I think like none of the people, all the people on the ship like haven't aged or anything, and it's just a complete mystery. That one has another really fascinating idea, and that one's written by Joe Hill. So that's 3 stories we'll be getting from Joe Hill on the Hill House Comics: Basket Full of Heads, Plunge, and then the Sea Dog story, which will be, you know, in each in the back of each of the issues, is from what it said. But that's serialized pulp strip set. If anyone knows what that means, let me know, because I'm not really sure if that means like old school comic book strips or something. But yeah, in the back it goes, you know, if that'll focus. But let me know if you guys know what that means. But yeah, I'm so excited for this. Let me know if you guys are excited as I am for this series. This is probably my next like most anticipated like stories to be coming, are these Hill House comic books. That, and then, you know, Venom Island, and then the new Thor run by Donny Cates. Those are like my top 3 most anticipated stories coming. But if you guys can hit that like button on your way out, hit the subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next video I do. Peace.